time, and welcome back to GB News Tonight with me, your host tonight, Martin Dorby. Now, Donald Trump has done what he said he would do. He's achieved, at long last, the seemingly impossible peace in the Middle East.
And after so many years of unceasing war and endless danger, today the skies are calm, the guns are silent, the sirens are still, and the sun rises on a holy land that is finally at peace, a land and a region that will live, God willing, in peace for all eternity.
After 2 years and 6 days, the war in Gaza is well and truly over.
It's over. The war is over, okay? Do you understand that?
And of course, the hostages, after 738 unimaginable days, they've returned home.
After 2 harrowing years in darkness and captivity, 20 courageous hostages are returning to the glorious embrace of their families, and it is glorious. 28 more precious loved ones are coming home at last to rest in this sacred soil for all of time.
Of course, the president was doubted at every turn, but he has proved those doubters wrong, many of whom still find thank you the hardest phrase to say. I'm joined now in the studio by Joshua Trevino, the Senior Fellow at the America First Policy Institute, as well as GB News' Senior Political Commentator, Nigel Nelson. Joshua, I shall start with you. As an American citizen, can you put into words the pride you must be feeling today?
Absolutely. Look, this is what the American majority voted for Trump to do, to advance an agenda of peace, to break with stale orthodoxies that brought nothing but more war. And he did it. I think there's nothing that illustrates his willingness to be heterodox and to achieve his ends more than the fact that the United States alone, among the Anglosphere powers, did not reward Hamas terrorism with the recognition of a Palestinian state. That American difference made the difference in peace today.
At that point, let's bring in Sir Keir Starmer. Sir Keir Starmer has been criticised domestically and certainly internationally for that recognition of the state of Palestine right at the end game of this process where everybody kind of knew this was winding down. Can we get your thoughts, please, on what many people believe has been a betrayal of Israel?
Well, look, it's. I won't comment on the UK-Israel relationship, but I will comment on the US-UK relationship. The United States requires a strong Britain. The United States requires a Britain that holds fast to its values, to the core principles of Western civilization.
And have we done that?
No, absolutely not. And certainly not under the current government, the current regime, and Prime Minister Starmer and the decision of his government to reward Hamas terrorism with the recognition of a farcical Palestinian state that does not exist was a breach in the concord that should exist between the United States and Great Britain.
Got a quick clip here earlier on. Keir Starmer, I believe, was asked if Donald Trump should win the next Nobel Peace Prize. Let's take a listen.
We're living in a time of what feels like pretty significant social change, and it makes us question things that we've even taken for granted for decades. And one of those at the moment that people are wondering about is actually money. Is the money in your bank account safe? Should you be investing elsewhere? Are we looking at a potential global crash? What will it mean for your savings? Is there a way that you could be using your money that might be outside of government control even? Well, TallyMoney is potentially one solution. So I'm delighted to say that I'm joined today by the CEO and founder of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. What is TallyMoney?
Well, at TallyMoney, you basically get gold you can spend. So we give people an individual account in their name, everyday account. They get a sort code, an account number. They use that account just like they would pounds from their bank, but it's milligrams of gold that we brand as Tally.
Okay. Why would you do that, though? What is the benefit to the customer instead of just having a normal pound sterling account?
Gold's performance against the pound is above 11% per annum over the last 25 years on average. But we still need money in our daily lives, and we have savings. We know that it's good common sense and prudent to save up for things, not just live in credit. You know, whether it's a holiday or a rainy day, your retirement planning, you need to have money in your life, basically, that you can rely on, that's dependable, that nobody meddles with, that nobody can weaponize against you, which is another element of government control when it's the government currency, which we could talk about another time. And it should be pretty simple and straightforward, and that's what we deliver at Tally. And really, we just want people to feel safe and happy with their money. There was a time when the bigger your bank balance, the more confident you felt. Now it's like, I need to do something with it. I can't leave it there. In Tally, you can.
Okay, brilliant. Cameron Parry from TallyMoney, thank you so much.
Thank you, Bev.
Well, today is a really historic day, so we do need to start there, and real credit to President Trump and the other leaders who got us to this place. But you're absolutely right. The challenge now is tomorrow and implementation, and therefore, yes, today is historic, but what happens tomorrow really matters. And that's why what I've been discussing with leaders all day is what part can we play? And we, the United Kingdom in particular, I think, can play a part in monitoring the ceasefire, but also decommissioning the capability of Hamas and their weaponry.
Joshua Trevino, again, it was said over the weekend by Bridget Phillipson, the Education Secretary, the United Kingdom played a key role behind the scenes in shaping this deal. So Keir Starmer there sticking to that script. Do you think that's the case, or was the United Kingdom basically spare parts at a wedding?
No, I don't think the United Kingdom played a key role. Look, Steve Witkoff on the American side has said very generous things, as he ought to, about our British ally. But I think anybody who has been familiar with this process knows what the end game has looked like, has understood very clearly that the Starmer regime right now has, if anything, been counterproductive toward peace. This peace was achieved despite British diplomacy and efforts. And it's unfortunate to have to say that as somebody who values the US-UK relationship.
What about all other leaders who were there today as well? Of course, Emmanuel Macron, the leaders, the European Union, Australia. Do you feel that what's happened today is a new beginning in many senses of the emergence, Joshua, of the United States as the true leader of the global superpower of the West, and the liberal West has simply abandoned their core mission of supporting the United States and helping out a key ally in Israel?
I think the United States, and look, as an American, I'm biased, but I do think the United States, certainly in the past century, has been the indispensable nation for liberty around the world. That has been true in generations past. It's true now, and I would encourage our European friends, who ought to share in that mission, to take a step back and reflect on what's happened today. When you look at Macron, when you look at any of the European powers, all of this happened. This peace has been achieved despite their efforts, in contravention to what they urged the Israelis to do, in contravention to what they urged the Palestinians to do. And that should give them pause. I don't think it will, but there's always hope for change.
The clip we were trying to show you there was where Sir Keir Starmer was asked, will you be nominating Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize? The Premier of Pakistan said tonight he would. Earlier on today, Benjamin Netanyahu said, you didn't win it this year, but certainly you should next. So Keir Starmer said, well, there will be many candidates. Wouldn't even pin his colour to the mast at this stage. I think that's a disgrace. What about you?
I tend to agree, but it is also entirely to be expected from the current UK political leadership.
Why?
Well, look, they're not true nationalists. My impression from across the pond, as it were, is that the UK regime right now does not advocate for the interests of the United Kingdom as a nation. They perceive themselves as part of a globalist class. They're internationalists, and they advocate for that class rather than the people of their nation. It's a problem across the world. It's a problem in the United States. It's a problem definitely in Europe. And so the answer that the Prime Minister gave is entirely consonant with the views of that class. I think if you had a real patriot in charge, though, he would say something different.
Thank you very much, Nigel Nelson. Let's bring you in now. Thank you seems to be the hardest phrase for so many people on the Liberal left to say. Peace has been achieved. You're no mega fan of Donald Trump, but do you think you want to say thank you to the president?
Yes, I would. I'd be happy to say thank you to him. I think that it was an absolutely fantastic achievement. It wouldn't have happened without him. So I've got no hesitation in praising him for what he did. I would take issue with Joshua about recognising Palestine as a state. I don't think it either helped or harmed this particular process. What I do think it might do is help the next stage.
How did it help?
Well, it'll help. The next stage was part of Donald Trump's 20-point plan.
Hamas was celebrating.
Well, part of Trump's 20-point plan is to get statehood for Palestine. That's what we've done, and it's not a huge step. We've already had a long-term policy of a two-state solution for the Middle East. Recognising the other state was not such a huge leap. So, as I say, I don't think it made a huge difference to what happened today.
Do you think Britain's status on the global stage is simply withering away at the moment? I mean, let's be
we're not America. I mean, there is no doubt.
Be a true ally of America and stand by their principles and support Israel. Instead, they backed the state of Palestine. Hamas round the streets with glee.
No, I don't think that recognising Palestine is backing Palestine against Israel. It's not a question of that. It's a question of trying to get a fair solution to what's been happening in the Middle East for the last 40 years.
There's a two-horse race. Sir Keir Starmer back the losing horse.
No, you shouldn't think of it as a two-horse race. That at some point, I mean, it's going to be. I think we're a long way away from it. But at some point, Palestine and Israel, as separate states, have to live alongside each other.
Joshua, final word to you. We can have semantics all we like. When push comes to shove, do you think Americans will remember in this hour of need that the United Kingdom chose to back Palestine, and many people who don't have the political nuance or subtlety, they will think that was a backing for Hamas.
Here's the tragedy of it. Those who think about it to that level of discreteness will, but most won't think of the United Kingdom at all and remember it. And it's because of the irrelevance that has been chosen by this regime.
That's withering, but do you know what? I think a lot of people listening will concur with that. Joshua Trevino, Senior Fellow at the America First Policy Institute, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
On this momentous day.